I miss the rains down in Africa. Gonna take some time to do the things we never did.
You are in the mix with DJ Canby.
The wild dogs cry out in the night as they grow restless, longing for some solitary company. I know that I must do what...
Okay, folks, so the time is exactly 2 o'clock. Let's not join. Let's not go strictly to the show on Apologetic right here on Sky 107.1.
All right, all right. Let me start by saying good morning, Liberia. Good morning to all of our people across the country. You are watching the debut of Unapologetic, and I'm telling you, we're gonna have an amazing time together. Let me start by just going through a few things here as we go ahead and bring a core of panelists, on our podcast today. So, about 42 years ago, something happened in Liberia. We saw one of the deadliest coup in Liberia that led to the execution of 13 Liberians. And since then, things have been difficult for our country, difficult for our people. Today, we're here to have a discussion about solutions for the future, going back to our timeline and seeing how best we can be able to mend our broken past. I have actually collected a team of individuals who will come on air today to talk about these situations. And so, as I go ahead and bring our panelists here, we'll bring in, the team to have a great, great, great introduction here. So, fellas, how are you guys today? Everybody seems to be a little excited.
Are we doing good?
You're doing wonderful. Miata, I see you looking great as usual. I see Peter smiling. I see Jethro in studio. Jethro, how are you, my brother?
Well, I'm doing pretty good. Let me say good afternoon from Liberia to our listeners. And it's a very pleasant and great day here in Liberia. I mean, relatively, I'm good.
That's wonderful. Peter, how are you, my buddy?
I'm doing well, man. It was always good to talk to our people. This is very, very important to us. It's always good to make sure you hear from the other people, the other side. So I'm very, very excited to have this conversation with our people.
Great. Miata?
Oh, I'm doing good. I'm ready.
That's wonderful. Gibber, I see you're looking sharp, man, in studio.
Dude, thank you, and it's a pleasure being here. We look forward to having a great discussion, and as I always say, laying facts to where facts need to be laid. So, I hope the audience out there stick with us for next hour, and hopefully we'll open the phone out later, and just bring your questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Emmerich, you look excited, man. Happy belated birthday. Yesterday was your birthday.
Thank you, Duke. I don't want to make the same mistakes of the past, right? Where we sat down, we said nothing because we felt we're not politicians. But it's my civic duty to participate in the governing structure of our country, and that's why I'm on. And I say thank you to the listening audience. This is going to be a great show to listen to the other side. And thank you.
Thank you, guys. Let's go into things, and then I would definitely want to hear your side of the story in terms of why you're here, right? So in 1980, something happened in our country. We had one of the bloodiest coup d'etat, ushered in by Master Sergeant Samuel Doe. What they said at that time, corruption was one of the key reasons why the Truick Party regime came to an end. Shortly after the execution of Tolbert, our people, our government at that time, the People's Redemption Council, through a military trial, sentenced by public execution 13 Liberians. And one of the most iconic images from that particular execution reminds me of the late Cecil Dennis, one of the guys who were executed. And I believe he was praying because he had come to terms with his fate that day. And there was a response from the airfield soldier. He said, "You lie, you know God." But I say this to say that going back from the Turbot time or during the Truick Party and going into the dual regime, those people were executed because our people believe that economic reasons, corruption, Doe became corrupt. And then we had on the famous day on BBC to focus on Africa, we heard about another uprising through the Butuo side of our country. And then we learned about Charles Taylor and Prince Johnson. After the Taylor regime, that regime ended because of economic issues as well. We elected Ellen Johnson Sirleaf and now George Weah. We elected Charles Taylor because people say, even though you killed my mom, you killed my pa, I will vote for you. But there's something here that keeps lingering. The question here is, though, with all that we've gone through as a country, what has changed? But before we get into what has changed, it is important that the Liberian people get to hear your story. And so quickly, I want us to uniquely tell the people, why is it important? Why are you on here today? Why are we speaking to this issue? And why is it necessary that people collectively should raise their voices? I want to start with Peter. And Peter, can you go ahead 1 minute to tell us?
So, first of all, Duke, thanks for having me. This is a very, very important, near dear conversation to my heart. I am just a person, a kid from Morovia, from Buchanan. We live in Gardnersville. I live in Habel, lived in Buchanan, and left the country just before the war started. And had a chance to be in other people's world, see the different structure, how their country was organized for a very long time. And I want to say this: I was never, no one in my family will ever part of government. Right? We just got lucky to leave the country. Long story about leaving the country. But I want to talk about what has happened since I left the country. I was not part of government. Just like Mr. Cummings, we were all, and a bunch of Liberians, bunch of us, we were all in other people's country during the war. Okay. We were chasing careers. We were trying to build a life outside of government, just trying to take care of ourselves. And then my father died a couple years ago. This is when I started paying attention to politics. So I'm just going around to say why I'm here now and talking. And my father had a stroke, and they didn't know what type of stroke it was. When I say they, I'm saying the hospital didn't know. This one I started paying attention. This is only in 2017 when this happened, 2018. And I started paying attention to why is it that our doctors, some of the smartest people in the world, which are Liberian people, how come we don't have a good hospital? How come our police have to be begging for money? I started paying attention, closely paying attention to those things. I'm in other people's country. We came here, we adjusted, and we saw how to structure their country. And I'm looking at our country and I see this pattern of incompetence of people just taking money for themselves, people taking advantage of people. And the death of my father and the way he died really, really spurred me into politics. If you look, you'll see it's only me in my family who is part of this now. I work with people here. I help young people grow and get to have to plan their life and structure their lives and have them help them have a really good life. And I'm looking back home and saying, how come that's not being done? And when you start to peel back the layers and see what's going on, you see people who are greedy, people who never prepared themselves to lead people, wanting to lead because it benefits them. I want to be a voice for those people. I'm here to challenge the system. I'm here to say things don't have to be this way because we know it's not like that in other countries. We know that other countries went through struggles just like we did, and they were able to prosper. So I want to be here to challenge that narrative that this is how it should be, and help, especially our young people, grow, and the things we need to do to get them to help them to grow to have a better future. That's
Thank
all
you,
I'm saying.
Pete. That was remarkable. And let me go to Mieta. Mieta, why is this important for you?
Thank you, Duke, for having me on. This is very important for me because, I grew up, I was born in Monrovia. And when my mom came to the States, my grandmother came for me, took me to Bellefontaine. And Liberia is dear to my heart. So anything I can do to put my voice in to make Liberia better, I'm all for it because I'm into art and culture. My grandmother used to be a dancer, my mom, and then it followed by me. So I'm just Liberia got to be better. So we all gonna, put our voice together and work together so Liberia can be better. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
having me on.
I appreciate it, Mieta. And Gabriel, you're here looking sharp in studio, my brother. Why is this important for you?
Dude, thank you for having me here. For me, I think I like to look at the reason why I'm here from a different perspective, meaning from a business standpoint, right? When just like everybody else on this podcast, I am too from Liberia. I was born right in Upper Cornwall. We fled to, the Ivory Coast. You name it, I've sold it as an 8-year-old. Potato greens, kala, pepper kala, cassava. I've sold it all along in Ivory Coast. Even in Ghana, I used to have a table. My mom used to have a table market. So we came over here in the States, you know, like most of us here, we were fortunate. We're blessed. We went to great school. I found myself in, as I always tell people, I don't like to talk about it, but I'm blessed, right? I'm managing, 300 over $300 million of people's money, you know, but the disconnect here, you're in a different country. When you go back to Liberia, you see abject poverty. Whether you're in a car driving your air conditioner on, the moment you pull down the window, you see those kids hawking to you, selling even gum, color, almonds. That's not the kind of country we want. The kind of country we want is to come into a country where you're thinking about business ideas. Hey, what sector should I invest in? What industry should I invest in? What should I do from a business standpoint as opposed to, oh, how can I hand this person, if I give this person $5, how far will it take them? That's not the kind of country we want. And the kind of country we want the kind of country that and I think all of you guys want to see is a country that is thriving, that is producing jobs, where people, if you get out of college, you're able to go and find yourself a job and take not just job for a day or two or a week, but sustainable job where you're able to go out there, work for yourself or start a company, work and sustain your family and put yourself, take care of your family, send your children to school, and be able to have a decent and dignified life. That's the kind of country we want to see in Liberia. So for those that are out there saying, oh, the people out there talking because they want to come in government job, I beg your pardon. That is not what we're here. We want to see a better Liberia that will compete regionally with our peers like the Ghana, the Sierra Leone, the Ivory Coast, and be able to pull out human capital talent that will compete on a global standpoint. Thank you.
Salient point, Gabriel. And finally to Emric, why is this important for you? Quickly.
Dude, thanks to the listening audience. I'm from both sides. Right before the crisis, I was a teenager and lived in Liberia during the tough times during the war and lived in America. So from both areas, experiencing what we are going through with the lack of leadership. Simple as that. Very simple. We have a country that we all want to progress, to do well. But then why it's not happening? If you look at our country right now, it's sad that those things that happened, like your intro with 1980, we talk about the end, justifying the means. We don't see it. We don't see what has happened since 1980. We talk about rampant corruption, nepotism. So we don't see it. We don't see our country moved, beyond that or move forward. Or we have not corrected those things that were done incorrectly in the past. So where are we today? We are nowhere. We have retrogressed as a country. And that's the reason why someone like me who sacrificed everything, resigned from my job just to go back home, to establish businesses, to have our people employed in the private sector. And I experienced it. I was there during the Ebola crisis, all over in Banga and other places, helping out when people that were in the Senate were running away from the country. Some of us, that people today, they think that we are different from them. And that's the issue we are having, us versus them. That's not the case. It's not about us versus them. It's about a certain group of people, like Peter said, that will use the system because they think our people are not educated enough to know the truth or be able to dig the backgrounds of these people that call themselves leaders. We are experiencing something that we have to come up to actually help bring some information to our people that they can use tomorrow before it's too late for Liberia. And that's the reason why I'm in this, for a better Liberia.
Thank you, Emric. That's a great point. And to conclude on that part, a lot of you see me on social media. Why is this important for me? When people tell me that I can't talk about Liberia issues because I talk a certain way, that hurts. I'm the boy who remember during the hot days in Monrovia, walking from school, be it CW Cathedral, passing around all the places, they're crossing the bridge and going to Vartan to catch a car or bus. Happy corner area there. All the places then to find my way home. I went through the hurt of the Liberian Civil War, every war in that country. And some of the same things that push us away, the same thing that started 14 years of civil war in that country, wherein other people felt that some other people were not Liberian enough. I get to face that today because I talk a certain way. That's not the country we want to see. But I think all of us know collectively we should raise our voices to speak on the issues impacting our country, to uplift young people and tell our country, our people, that regardless of what side of the aisle we stand on, we are all Liberians and we must speak when it comes to pertinent issues. So that's what we're going to do today. And we will jump right in because we want to give our people the chance to hear us and to speak to us. So guys, we're 17 minutes in and let's just get into the thick of things. I started off by detailing all of the happenings in our country. And I also retrospected in terms of minute. I went back when it came to the 1980 coup. The reason why that happened is because people felt that, they were not part of society accordingly. But the options used and those who became opportune to take on power didn't change, because at the end of the day, we still face those economic issues. We're facing that today. Miata, all of the things we know, our culture. I remember the days of the Kamsa robbers. I remember the great musician, Quincy B, how talented that young man was. Vanished. What has happened to Liberia? What do you think is the issue here? And from an arts and cultural perspective, please tell us quickly.
Duke, if you ask me, ain't nothing changed. Because right now in Liberia, we got so many talented, gifted Liberians, young people that into the art, but there's no system that even set up to help them. And it's very bad, they get frustrated. Everything they're doing, the government is not helping to even, just to show their talent. And it's very frustrating. And me being from a musical background and like our culture, because my grandmother used to dance, my late grandmother, my mom, she used to dance. And I'm the one, follow their footsteps. We don't see nothing going on. It's just frustrating. And that's the reason why some of us, we get in contact with these young people, whatever we can do to help them, so we can help them. But if you ask me, ain't nothing changed, dude. The system is just corrupt. It's for them, for their children, and for their family. And it's bad. Something needs to be done. And that's when Eritana becomes coming.
Miata, that's a great point. And as I dance my way from Miata and her viewpoint on arts and what we've lost in terms of our tradition, I want to move to a familiar theme here. In Liberia today, we have a vast majority of young people unemployed. Right now, unemployment is probably 4%. Now, I'm not trying to get into the politics of things. I'm only just speaking facts, and we're trying to find solutions. One of the things I recall during the heydays in Liberia, and all of you can recall the rice riot. And I believe people will tell you Liberia experienced change out of the Truby Party into the hands of the People's Redemption Council because of the rice riot. But it's something amazing happening because we still run into these issues. 42 years after the 1980 coup, imagine we're still talking about the increase in rice prices. Gabriel, what has changed?
Dude, thank you. And Miara, I think Miara kind of alluded to some of that, to say that nothing has changed. And the rice riot, I think for all of you, you may not, like most of us, we may not have been born during that time, but do remember, look at Liberia history. The rice riot was just what I call a group of people, what I call a blunder from an economic standpoint. One group of people importing rice, and we're not producing rice in our country. you know so as a way to incentivize the people that are not produced, that are, for us to produce rice in our country, they put an embargo on the people that are importing rice. Well, that's an economic blunder. The moment you do that, if I'm bringing rice in your country, I can withhold the rice from coming into the country, right? And that's exactly what happened. you know from an economic standpoint, without trying to go into that, it's called trying to play with the invisible hand, of the economics. But the same system that we've had, of where, instead of having a capitalistic system where Duke can import rice, Gabriel can import rice, Miata can import rice, P can import rice, and let's compete and may the best man or woman win, was taken away, right? And we still have that system today, right? So this is why when rice prices goes up in the country, let's say on the global market, if I am the only one importing rice, I can withhold that rice from being put out in the market, and the prices go up. What happens? Most of the people, not just everybody in Liberia, stop complaining about rice prices going up because no rice is on the market. We're not incentivizing our farmers to produce rice. We've had a system that is taking people from villages, people like from our, what we call the bread basket of Liberia, like the Bon County, the Lufa, where those grains supposed to get produced, from producing in those counties, they are now coming to Monrovia, thinking that the economic spectrum of the moving up the economic ladder is in Liberia. So that way it's disincentivizing us from being able to feed ourselves. That kind of system that we've had since the 80s still exists today. And the reason why it exists, because the same people who held power during those times are still in power today. From the last administration to this administration, people, I will say this and then I'll land. I know we have a lot to
Yeah,
talk about.
yeah,
People talk about people talk about, the last administration, things were better. No, things were not better. The reason why we thought things were better, and if you look at the growth number, people will put out different growth number. This is what we did. It was propped up by what we call it, national aid, right? International aid. Not only was it propped up by international aid, it was propped up by the armed mail. The troops was on mail being there, right? Those people had jobs, they had money, they were spending in our economy. So when they left, everything left with it. Everything recalibrated to a system in an economy that does not produce any jobs, where the unemployment number is high. You know, we have high unemployment number. We're graduating thousands of students every year within an economy that doesn't produce any job. We have a financial market that is non-existent, right? And it is illiquid at the same time, illiquid and inefficient. Yet we expect the system to go up. And it's, as we always say, we have had the same people in there doing the same thing and doing the same thing over and over and over and over. And yet we expect the system to change for us to be competitive. This is not going to change unless we actually all of us on this platform, and like in Liberia, we have a moral obligation, whether you're interested in politics or not, to want to see that country do better. And this is why some of us are here. And we know who's going to do that. We know that I can put Mr. Cummins side by side, his resume, his professional accomplishment side by side with any among the 5 million Liberian people in our country. and said, this is why this person is qualified. We're talking about creating jobs. We're talking about reforming the system. We're talking about cutting the government down from 67,000 employees, taking some of that money and putting it in sectors that will help grow the economy. This is why we're here, and this is why we'll continue to keep talking. I am not interested in politics. I am fine doing what I'm doing. I am perfect. I can take vacation, go to Liberia, come back, go wherever place I want to go. I am fine. But when you walk in Liberia, you drive through the streets. There are kids you see in the street, as I always say. When you pull down your window, that come walking to you, selling everything to you. There are grown people whose lives has been abandoned 18 years. Nothing's been going for them. This is why some of us are here, and this is why we're going to keep having this conversation.
Thank you, Gilbert. That's a great point, and we're eclipsing on time here. But guys, let's just move quickly there. But I want to go to Liberia and just Jethro, are you hearing us?
Yes, I'm here.
So
Today,
Jethro, just
the
thank you.
conversation. Yeah.
Yeah, quickly from the point, I want you. You're a young man. You live in Liberia. We've talked about unemployment. Quickly the pertinent issues facing young people in that country. What has changed? What do you see?
So let me say this as my opener that nothing has changed. Uh, like you know, Gabriel said, some of us weren't born when the war started. We fell into it, right? So everybody thought that the war would bring about change, because that was the core essence of why they brought war. But dating back from the war up to now, nothing has actually changed. If you're in Liberia right now, it's an unarguable fact that Liberian youth are at the detriment of everything that has happened in this country pertaining to the war. Unemployment, um, drugs, they have felt the worst of this entire thing concerning the war. So nothing has actually changed, right? Every year, like just yesterday, we had over thousands of graduates from the AME Zion University. Now, where are those guys going to be placed in society? So a lot of people, a lot of young people are just being wayward, and they are getting involved into drugs and illicit drugs abuse and stuff like that. And I mean, so from the broader stance, we can say that there was no essence why we ever went to war, because we understand that before you make a change in any environment, people must stand up, and sometimes that stand up might cause a rebellion. All right, so that might lead to war. But the case with Liberia is something that we cannot just understand. We came and we fell into this war thinking that things were going to change, but up to now, nothing has actually changed. It has even gotten worse since 2018. Up to now, people promise us a lot of jobs. They say when we get to power, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. Up to now, there's nothing. There are a lot of young people lingering all around the street. People getting crazy on a daily basis due to frustration and stuff like that. I mean, so nothing has changed, dude. That is why some of us young people are getting involved. We're gonna speak. We're gonna talk about it, and it's so sickening that there will be some people saying we cannot do anything. We just sit and watch the show. No, there will be some people who will stand up. That is why some of us are standing up every day. We are writing, we are talking, and then we are pushing the agenda of change, of genuine change. And that is why I stand with the man who has come with the real change that Liberia needs. But at the moment, until we give that man that power or that chance, I mean, we are going nowhere.
Perfect.
Thank you, Jethro, and that's really important. And we want to move along, guys, because we have a timeline because we want to give our people a chance in Liberia to call. So let's just move quickly, and I want to go back to Peter, and then we will end this segment here with Emric before we go into the next one. Peter, you've said a lot, and I've actually in the prelude to this conversation highlighted some things. Corruption, right, remains one of the key issues in that country. From your standpoint, what has changed?
Well, Duke, again, thanks for coming back to me. I quickly want to talk about few things. I was just in Liberia and allude to what Gabriel just said. I was in Liberia just a month and a half ago. I go often. I often go back to my people and our country. And what I noticed is we got these people in position of leadership who are excuse makers, right? When you ask for corruption, it's for good governance. Anyone who's vying to lead our country and our young people to where they need to be, you have to have studied other countries that came from poverty to become successful. There are many, 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 many countries like that. And it's sad that they're brainwashing our people and telling them, oh, this is how it is. Oh, you can only give, it's only been 6 years, 3 years, or 5 years. No, there are countries. Look at Southeast Asian countries. Okay. This is what turned me on to Mr. Cummins when he started talking about it. That tells me that's a person who has been studying how nations are built. Excuse makers who wants to send their kids to America, to Europe, so that they can have education, so they can come back and usurp the power in the country and have a monopoly over running the country. Instead of being interested in making sure that the environment exists where jobs will come to Liberia. For example, quickly, just a couple of days ago, we had these government officials go to Israel and try to sell Liberia to the Israeli people. Well, listen, the reason we don't have businesses in Liberia right now is because of corruption. No one's going to put their hard-earned money in a country that they have to grease palms and they might have to pay government officials where there is no disposable income from people because we don't have jobs for our young people. No business is coming to Liberia. These people don't understand how their corruption is actually affecting job creation in Liberia. How it's affecting our people's livelihood. How the fact that you're not pumping money into education, because this is what countries do. Look at Korea. I'm talking about South Korea. Look at Philippines. Look at Taiwan. Those countries were created after 1965. There's a formula they followed, especially the countries who didn't have enough people to actually have an economy going. There's a formula that they use. The people leading us are more interested in putting money in their pockets, and they hope that we don't talk. And for a long time, a person like myself, Duke, Gabriel, and Emmerich was silent because we're not government people. It is time that we change that, and those people are going to be called out exactly what they're doing wrong, exactly what needs to be changed.
Thank you, Pete. That was fiery. And let's go ahead and actually end this segment here with Emmerich. Emmerich, we went through the 1980 coup. And I remember Liberian took to the streets and they said to do native woman born soldier. They were jubilant, right? And then in the end, after those economic collapse, they said, monkey, calm down. Then they went again to, Charles Tiller. They hailed him. And when BBC said there was war coming in Liberia, they celebrated it because they felt that he was the liberator. Oh, but listening, when Tiller's economy went down, after they celebrated during the election, they said, you came up, you came up, I will vote for you. They went running across the U.S. embassy and asking the United States to remove Tiller. We saw the same thing with other leaders. Boy, he not know, boy, I will vote for you. Here we are with this electoral cycle. Not being political, but talking about the issue. Like I said, regardless of which aisle you stand, we have an obligation to Liberia, and free speech in Liberia should be protected. That's the beauty of democracy. Emmerich, I want you to close on this segment. What do you think is happening? Where is this pattern, and how do you think? First and foremost, have we corrected it? What's the way forward?
I mean, Duke, thank you. Looking at our position right now, I would say we have gone backwards. We have taken 2 steps forward and 10 steps back. It's not smart to do that. And when you look at Liberia, it's a sad story. The saddest part, people prey on the ignorance of our people. Not everyone is ignorant in our country. You know the reason why schools are not developed, the educational system is not revamped? It's simple. If you love your people, you won't keep them uneducated. Okay? Because this is how most of them survive. If you go to places they went 2017 to ask for votes, they have not been there since then, because I have been talking to people all over in the country. Been having town hall meetings and so all in the country. They have not been back there. You know, then this is the reason why we came in, or we are in, or we have come in, to educate our people and tell them they're worth more than giving their votes for $50 or bag of rice and soap. They're worth more than that. Because if someone gives you $50 or a bag of rice and they don't come back to your communities for more than 6 years, who suffers? You suffer. If you look at perspective, let's look at my corporate setting, and I will use this to analogize what's happening in Liberia. If you want to change the culture and mindset of a company in this country, what happens? In most cases, they bring a CEO from somewhere different, right? Because they feel that they want to re-energize. They want to bring something new to the system. When Peter talks about failed system, the system of 1847, we all see it. They have all gone through the system of 1847, the old politician, the old political way to get support. But then, how do we break that system? It's to bring somebody with the ideology, the lifestyle, the concept, the practices and behaviors from outside the system. That's how you break a system. And then what's wrong with looking at Mr. Cummings to say he's the person who fits that criteria, an outsider who spent his time as a Liberian, born as a Liberian, grew up, you know, the same hospital, and so Redemption Hospital, he went there. It's not like Mr. Cummings had a different hospital. It's not like he had a different school. He wasn't privileged, okay? But you know why? I respect him for the values, and so he upheld, or he's upholding from day one. And that's the reason why you see someone like us, people like us, we pay attention and we know history. We'll go into history. We study people, research people, their background, see how consistent they are. You see consistency and integrity, they run parallel. They run parallel. No matter how a situation is going to change. Like people were seeing Mr. Cummings and saying the whole thing that he just apologized. But why would you want to apologize for something you have not done? I would rather die. I would rather get crucified. I would rather get prosecuted for something that I know truly I have not done, because my integrity leads me to tell me that I have not done it and it wasn't done. And today you see he's being vindicated, dude. A whole lot of issues with our country. So you see right now it's the old system versus Mr. Cummings. And we see it all over. Yeah. Even now, the people that are against each other, like UP and CDC, they became friends when it came to Mr. Cummings.
The former vice president was star witness.
Okay, so you see, right after the whole case got dropped, they went back to the same old place, and so you see what's happening to our country. People gang up and they think that we are different. It's not us versus them. We are Liberians. What we give to Liberia, some of them don't even know. We don't talk about it, dude. So thank you. We'll keep exposing and bringing the facts.
We will. Free speech must be protected at all costs, and we should raise our voices collectively, and that's how we build a better country as well. Guys, I know we want to take calls from Liberia, but there's something I want to insert here. Please take a look.
There is the problem with the soul of our nation. The absence, especially at the level of national leadership, of courage to do the right things for the right reasons, and of honor, integrity, honesty, and truthfulness. Today, I invite the national leaders of our country, political leaders, religious leaders, traditional leaders, legal and community leaders, all leaders, to be enjoined in the cleansing of our nation's soul.
You know, this was a powerful excerpt that I took from, Mr. Cummings' address a few days ago. And the reason why I pivot into that point is that with all that he has been through, the slander, imagine somebody who is a known black money person trying to malign the character of a good man. And I'm not going to go in there, but I say that, without remorse. But through all the things that have thrown his way, something beautiful about healing and leadership. He looks into the eyes of the people who've done the worst to him. And he said, this is a call for national leaders, reaching across the aisle to every major player in our nation's future and say, you know what? We have to work together because this is about cleansing the soul of our nation. Guys, before we go in and take calls from Liberia, just quickly, the soul of our nation, the foundations of our country, the high unemployment, more values, all of those things are fading away, even when it comes to public service in our country. And I don't understand why we will see our people in dire needs and we can't stand up. A brilliant point by Mr. Cummings that I wanted to bring on here today. But before we go in, and take the calls, and I just want us quickly, maybe a minute or so, to speak to that part. And the question here is that how should the system work for everybody? How can we cleanse the soul of our nation? What must our people do to be able to see value in understanding? And I mean, let me tell you that all my crowd are born in. All my men there who died, the final administrator across, Benson Street. Let me just break it down for you. Doctor, when we say the soul of the nation, I mean our country is struggling. The soul of Baba thing happened in that place. When we talk about value, adding value to the country, that means, my man, y'all been shining shoe for a long time. That business need to grow. You got to go from just shining people's shoe down there to opening large businesses and employing people. When that team are not working correct, everything's shaking and stuff, we got to find a way to be able to fix it. So how can we fix the thing here, Embrick? Quickly, I want to go back to Miata. Miata, listen, somebody listening to you in Bond County, don't talk to us, talk to them directly. Tell them something.
Do me I can speak better to my people. Ma kwenga kaunga twae nyang nga kwa ko bervane ma e kwa bervane nga kwa bervane me wa ha mo bangane kwa mo elesana bi komis ga hala do kapega di lega no la de lega kwa no la dogi me de ga e na pu mai de lega na nyaga da ngo pa ngo po da ngo pa po gu he hu je o no we humara ka da nena alu nyaga ngo da ngo tuna da ngo lega no we la ngo ke kwa ga he ka to po ku po ku kre kwa to kwa la brenga pada kaloni age kaloni de lu ko per mane mu ha per le ikaka yenga kaloni dru mu ka mo ku ga no hu ba ku ga pa no hu ba yonga ba ke ku li ka po Liberia because Liberia ka ku kri ku kwa ka kula he no ndaga ma elesana bi komis kwa to bo because no we pon Liberia ka ni hu Liberia ka pon ni hu ka kula pot ka bonga de bla be pon no gwe kre be ka de nai kwa to elesana bi komi po because no nga system correct yo se boga de kre da to no nga ba benera yuene diga de labo diga lega nwanga ke diga lega elesana komila kwa brati ka brati ka nyanga miara dakena akwa ko bel fanne bon kante kwa to elesana bi komipo ka mama rai ku lo meka rai ku krepo ku meka igulo ni meka igalo ni meka ra mama Liberia abawo mi heto ka he.
Thank you, Biara. And I appreciate that. We'll come to other people. We've got T. Jethro in studio. Jethro, are we ready to take calls from our people?
Of course, yes, we are. We are ready.
Okay, let's see how best we can
place on the screen.
Okay, so place the number on the screen if you can read it out as well.
Yeah, so for those of you in Ready Land, the number is 07777 or 077221223. Those are the numbers to call in Liberia. Again, the numbers are 07777 or 077221223. And if you are in the diaspora, the WhatsApp number is +231 777-777-107, the same number. So yeah,
Thank
you
you.
can call.
And yeah, thank you. Once you get a call, let me know. I will stop here quickly. But Miata, thank you for that point. Let me just say this too, and then probably we'll go back to our people can talk about.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Duke, there's
yes,
a call.
yes.
There's a call. So let's
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Hello, caller. Your name? Where are you calling from?
Yes, good evening.
Yeah. Yes. Hello. Your name?
Thank you. My name is N. Patrick Bellao, and I speak to you from Pinsville.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I listen to your show. Your show is good. Nothing is happening in Liberia that is intended to improve the life of young people. But my only disappointment is tying down the improvement of this country to just one individual. That which I think it is not good for us. There are good individuals in this country who we think can become president and be able to help and improve the life of young people or the citizens across the country, not just tying the development of this country to one person. Like I listened to one of my fellow sisters not too long, right? I'm a fellow man, and I hail from Namasota district. So if you trying to convince fellow people, it should be across the board, not limiting it to just one individual. And I listen to what calling Mr. Alexander Cummings' name that people lie on him. That is not fine for this democracy. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you.
Duke, you want me to respond to that?
Another call?
Yeah, go ahead. Take a call, Jethro.
Yeah. Caller,
Yeah, just take
anywhere
the question. I
calling
will come there. Go ahead, Jethro.
Can you speak a little bit louder?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
I said, this is Boba Kesali, and I call you from Gardnersville.
Okay.
I want to appreciate the panelists for the wonderful discussion we're having. It is quite interesting that you're talking about a Liberian who knows what it means to go to bed hungry, someone who lived right in the 1-4 area and struggled like every one of us. He was blessed to go to America, and then he became successful because of Liberian values. Now he has come back and wants to contribute to our country. I want to encourage all Liberians to join us. It's not going to be easy, and particularly for those who are going to school, for our mothers who send their children to school. Mr. Cummings represents a good example. Many times we can say, oh, the educated people fool us. People that go to school fool us. Mr. Cummings is that example of people that are educated, but it's serious to change the country. Because there are all the educated people that won't fool us. Mr. Cummings using his education to change the country. That's why you see them lie on it, because they use their education to fuck our people. Mr. Cummings using his education to change the lives of our people. And let me conclude by saying to my lover people,
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yes, dude,
right.
let's continue the conversation.
Okay.
I think do.
So yes, and I'll come in 1 second, Emery, because we're sending that. And Jeffrey, you have one more call we can pass it to because we're running to put it there. Go ahead, Emery.
No,
Just
quick
quickly,
response.
please. Let's go quickly on that part.
Yeah, just quick response to the caller who said trying to pin the development of the country on one person. It's simple. If you have a suggestion, you can always contact us. We're not disagreeing with you, but we're just having a simple analysis, compare and contrast analysis.
All right, I think Emery, 1 second. Let's go there. Jethro, put the call through.
No, go ahead. The call went off.
You had it. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
I call from Monrovia.
All right.
What I studied in the compensation and everything. But the main problem with Liberia is the Liberians are also, they are not helping their own country. If we try example like Nigeria, Ghana, those people want money, the open route I just said, and I think most of the development in your country, they are not the government alone. But if we say the problem only the government alone, that can help Liberia because we've been back for so many years. So that's my suggestion. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Another call coming in. Yo, good afternoon. Yeah, your name and where you calling from?
Yeah, this is Jiva FB Dolly. I'm calling for Arizona Avenue, Busho Island.
Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for the talking point this afternoon and also to your studio guests. But we don't want to use this million to inform the Liberian people that they take the opportunity that they are given, or are given us, to go back to 2023 to elect on Lukumi. I keep in my mind on Lukumi the only opportunity for this country. And on Lukumi the only person who can move Liberian for our country to the elections. Because the standard that you have shown to the Liberian people, the sincerity that you have brought to the platform, all the people Liberians should join hands with the ANC family to make sure that the Queen is the next person of Liberia. So our people are suffering. People are going to get with hunger. Our sisters and daughters are being raped, right? This government has failed the Liberian people massively. So it is important for us to come out massively to campaign and recruit for the ANC to make sure that we will be the next person of Liberia comes to the city. It's very important for Liberia because our country image are being so under this regime. So in order for Liberia need to be safe, the international community, it is important for every single Liberian to come out to move with Mr. Kumi as the next person of this country. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you. It's refreshing to hear that. And so, Jethro, we'll take one more calls because we got to, something this thing here a little bit.
Okay.
There. But do you have one more call?
Yeah.
Okay, put that call through. We'll take one more call. Yeah. And I'm glad people are participating, by the way.
Yeah, go ahead. Hello?
Hello, good afternoon. How you doing? Hello.
Yeah, great. Your name and where you calling from?
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
My name is Solomon. I'm calling from the United Kingdom, Liverpool. My name is Solomon. I'm calling from the United Kingdom in Liverpool.
Okay.
In regards to your topic in discussion today, I met Mr. Cummings in Minnesota. Mr. Cummings is a very nice guy. He involved me into his political life. But Mr. Cummings, educationally, he's the right guy to lead Liberia. But the problem Mr. Cummings has, when I was with Mr. Cummings at the time, during the election, there are a couple of questions I asked Mr. Cummings. Mr. Cummings, you are in Liberia. All the years you've been owning, and you've been owning millions, you've been working. Mr. Cummings, what really have you done for Liberian people all the time? You should have a scholarship program for Liberians. You should have a scholarship program for the low-level class. You don't have a house. Mr. Cummings got pissed off me for that. He exercised me.
Wow.
He was the one who made me to resign my job from the United States of America. Came back here.
Can I say something, please?
Mr. Cummings.
So Jethro, this is what we go ahead. Let you land there. Let you land, and then we'll something.
Go ahead. Finish. Land.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got 7 minutes.
Mr. Cummings, to be honest with you, if Mr. Cummings is being elected president, he should be a very good leader. But Mr. Cummings has some backstab who gave him the wrong advice. If Mr. Cummings can reconcile with some of his followers that break away from him today, I can assure you, if he president in Liberia. But Mr. Cummings has a problem himself. Mr. Cummings, he doesn't listen to people.
Can you be brief?
Let's brief because we gotta move on, Jethro, and we gotta come up to
30
that point. We
seconds.
don't have much
Follow.
time
Take the
yet.
next 30 seconds.
Time.
Land,
Let's
please.
go out there.
Yeah,
So it's quickly,
Hello.
Dude. Yeah. Next 30
Jethro,
seconds.
let's wrap and move on to that one, please. We got calls
Hello?
to take. We got some. All right. So let me say something here quickly before I go to the guys. First and foremost, if you follow Liberian politics and you're talking about Mr. Cummings providing scholarship, and he hasn't done that, that tells me you're not informed. The Cummings Foundation continues to pour resources into young people in that country. Science, right? Math, technology. They have actually given more young Liberian scholarships. We have done well. I mean, he has done well in terms of that area. And so I think it's just dishonest. But on the part of leadership, it's good to take recommendation from people. We appreciate that. Guys, I think
Jethro, you work with Mr. Cummings?
No, dude.
This is the, yeah, 1 second, Ember, I'll come to you. Jethro, what we'll do is that next we'll add more time to take calls from Liberia, but it's good to hear the interactions of our people there. But let me go quickly to the team here so we can be able to figure through things out here. So, Emery, go ahead and speak quickly.
So, I was speaking when the caller was on.
Yes.
So let me go back to the first caller who, talked about Miata saying it's only one person. Have you ever heard Mr. Cummings saying that he's the only person who can develop Liberia? No, he doesn't even speak that way, because at Coca-Cola, at Pillsbury, those places, Mr. Cummings wasn't the only one. He built a team. So he understands the team mentality. And that's why when Mr. Cummings speaks, he tells every Liberian, we have to work together. Is Mr. Cummings the only one right now who has ANC headquarters in Liberia and say he got to do it by himself? No. He has a team of young people, old people, everybody from different walks of life. So you see, this is the deception we are talking about. The other caller who just came on, Duke, I'll be quick and I will get off. He talked about he worked with Mr. Cummings, but you can see I'm not savvy when it comes to technology. You can see he's hiding. He's hiding. He said he worked with Mr. Cummings, but he does not even know that Mr. Cummings was the one who paid WIAC, okay, for more than 2,000 students, to know that he paid the WIAC fees, the preparatory classes for those students as well. So you see, he doesn't even understand that STEM you have over there. It's Mr. Cummings, his initiation that got STEM over there, the school. A lot of things we see that politics, we will find people that will call, well, we still have to be tolerant and accept them and debunk their statements and come with the facts. So thank you, dude.
That's a great point. And you know what? I'm really excited, because it seems like the debut of Unapologetic is actually getting the attention of people who are regrouping now to call on the show and promote their own agenda. Free speech will allow, but will provide the clarity when needed. And like that caller said, it's totally untrue. Mr. Cummings continue to provide scholarship through the Cummings Foundation to assist Liberians as well. You can look it up at Cummings Foundation website. That information is there. Truthfully speaking, he has done that as well. So that's a great point. Peter, you can comment real quick.
Yeah, I just wanted to speak to the lies and deceptions quickly. There's no country developed with lies and deceptions. We start with good governance. I always point to, and I will go back to talking about Southeast Asian nation countries. What we attempted to do in Liberia has been done successfully in other countries. I suggest that people, and as the weeks goes on, we go into more details about that. But just look at what's going on. There's one man who's not government affiliated. He's outside the system. How do you know? Look at the trial. Look what people say. They talk about this man's sexuality. They question people worth him. They look at all the lies that they have told. Here's where I want to end at. And I'm very passionate about this. And this is something that I'm willing to go to war for. When I say war, I'm talking about verbal fight, not necessarily bringing guns to our people. What I'm saying is, a lot of people, my family members, got killed in the war because people lied on them. Look at the lies they're telling about this man. There's a mountain of lies that they're telling about this man. Oh, he's not Liberian. Oh, he wasn't in the country during the war. Oh, like there are people in the country during the war. You can tell that one person who's outside the system. I'm not a politician. None of us here are politicians. And by the way, someone just mentioned job seeking. The job that I do, what I do for a living, is not a job in Liberia. I coach American football. It's not a job in Liberia to be had. It's not a job in Africa to be had. So I'm not trying to get a job. And that's not everyone on this panel. We're successful in our lives. Whether government comes, government goes, we're going to have the same life. What we're fighting for is our family members. And we're not going to let you guys shame us into being quiet. We've done that for way too long. It's time to stop it. We're going to stop it. All your lies, you can make up all the lies you want. You can do whatever you want. The good news is the Liberian people will get to know us. Thank you so much, Duke, for providing the show so that we can actually speak and people are going to hear us. Thank you.
Thank you. Jethro, what do we look like in terms of things there in the studio?
Oh, we just got 1 minute left. 1 minute left.
Perfect. So we'll do that in the studio thing because Liberia they have to. However, Jethro, let's hear from you, and then we will address the rest of the audience there. As you bring this thing up.
Yeah. So again, let me say thanks for the show. To the callers, I'd like to say thanks to all those who congratulated us on this maiden edition of the show. But to the guy who talked about why Mr. Cummings cannot, reconcile, Mr. Cummings cannot be the one to go forward with the reconciliation because he was not the one who raised issue against his friends. His friends were the ones who lied on him, who took him to court. In the words of the SG, he said the Cummings case is like the Jesus story, right? Wherein they had a friend, they brought Jesus to us to crucify him. So that's the whole thing, right? And we are pressed against time, and so I think we can just wrap it up. Duke.
Yeah, so you can go to the studio there. We'll continue on the Skype page here. Meanwhile, continue to follow us. We will expand the segment because the thing that I think people have interest in this, and we must do that as well. So we'll be able to expand that. Jeff, I want to say thanks for joining us in studio. It was great to have you and the rest of the team. Join us on Saturday. I guess the next time we're on, we'll put that information as well so we can hear your contributions. If you're in Liberia, shout out to Cathedral Catholic School, CWA, and all of my people in Brewerville as
Shout
well.
out to SDA.
SDA. Thank you.
All right.
Yeah. So, guys, while we're still on the Sky page, of course, we'll continue to carry the podcast there. And like I said, we'll expand the time because we have some technical issues here. But let me say this here quickly, and then we'll go back to Miata and then Gabriel as well. By the way, if you were in the listening audience or radio,
This
follow
is
us on the
Sky
Sky.
107.1 FM.
We'll be right back after this commercial break.
So just quickly speaking, while Sky is taking that commercial break there, Emery, let's go back because there were interesting calls from the callers, and we have our people following us on social media as well. I want us to bring this to an end because we had a 1 minute time frame, and just quickly just go ahead and hit the points that we need to hit as well, and then just bring it to a conclusion. Clearly, there are still a few people who feel tied to this systemic issue, and it is normal because a couple of those people always exist in our society. But I like what people say. They will not bully us or force us into stopping, our, what we're doing in terms of informing our people as well. So just on a final note from all of the people here, reaching back to Gabriel. Gabriel, there's some things we talked about here today, and we'll pivot into for the following week. I just want you to just bring this to an end for us here and just tell us to all our listening audience. Now that we've actually talked about all of the economic issues, all the things that we're facing as Liberians, what do you think should be solutions in terms of the way forward?
Yeah, Duke, thank you. And I think I may have gone into some of that when I and that's a great thing that you talk about solution. I don't want us to get in the habit of, saying we have this problem. Yes, they've existed for so long, but this is why we're here to talk about some of the solutions, right? And some of the things we talk about when we talk about reforming the country and making it work for everybody than it is currently right now. Liberia is not working for everybody right now. You're either in the government making a lot of money, or you're dirt poor, abject poverty. You don't know where your next meal is coming from. So when we talk about solution, we're talking about the most important thing. If your car engine is damaged, you have to go in the car, open the hood, and trying to figure out what's wrong in there. But in this case, we know what's wrong with Liberia. The government, first of all, is over bloated. When I mean bloated, that means there's too many people working in the government. Of 5 million people, we have 67,000 people working in the government, right? That is too many people. Some of the reform we're talking about is cutting that, which is structural reform, cutting those people, cutting some of those staff, the redundant job that they're doing in the government, and taking some of that resources and putting it in key sectors like the infrastructure, the education, the economy. That we talk about investing in market women. Entrepreneurship is one of the biggest way to create jobs and be self-sustained and create people that will become self-sustainable. We talk about investing in our market women. When you go in a market, every time I go into Liberia, some of the things I like to do is just go in a market, go in a different market, go in a different place, and go in a different market. I would say 99.9 of the people you see in our market are women. Sometimes you see somebody have children beside them selling. How do we invest in those people? How do we create a financial market or a banking sector where they are able to go and take out loans? Where they are not going and take out loans that are taking out interest that is burdensome for them, that if something happened to their children, they end up going right back into that same cycle. We talk about building an economy from the ground up. We don't want to. We've learned from the Western world, how to build economy. But what we also learn from them is that if you focus on one group of people, you create an economic inequality, right? One group of people benefit and the rest of them are left behind. So we can learn from that and build an economy from the ground up. These are some of the things we talk about when we say building an economy. Structural reform, investing in in women, in our market women, investing in our human capital development. If we want to compete, if we want to keep Liberia as a sovereign nation, one of the biggest things we have to do is invest in our people, in education. If we don't do that, we will continue to. The rest of the world has leapfrog ahead. Even Sierra Leone, they have leapfrog ahead, you know, because these people are investing in human capital, right? So these are some of the things we talk about when we say investing in people and structuring the economy that will work for everybody. Like, Peter has always said, we have playbook ahead of us. Country have done it. You look at the Ireland, the Southeast Eastern Asian country, they have done it. Countries even right in our in our doorstep. Ghana has done it. Ghana has spearheading. Rwanda, that just came out of the 1994 genocide, they're doing way better than us, right? Because these people have invested in the infrastructure, the human capital development. So those are some of the solutions that we're talking about. I know they're very extensive. If we want, we can go down through the playbook, but we don't have time. But
We
those
don't,
are
but
some of the
listen,
points.
this is good. This was the debut. I think impressive. We will continue to expand and see how this will weave in some things. Great point, Gabriel. I appreciate as well. And so, let's go to Beata. Beata, have your say.
Makbenga ngango papo kapona kagai ngapa wanga ele tana bi komi mama bwe makbenu tuna pa wa nyenga leke mbeleke nyang miera mo ba pa wa genga leke ka nito no kpembe e nga toy nyang miera nga kwa po jota nga kwa po belfane bon kanti nga toy po aged leke a elizana komi la Joseph Boagaka Benena Yureka Nwanga Pari to Poi the leka anowela so nyang nga moika mbo leke me ko nga moy ega a ipaba anwe nyera nga leke mo ba leke bonga ne bladia mo ba leke nyang miera nga ko December hu nga Liberia nga pana nga peka Liberia lo ni ngai e me ko kwa ge ko apa wa ku mo go nga ba o geng mo kwa ge ke kwa to ku nwanga po kwa nwe ko Liberia ko kwa wo bere ke ku kre ku mama ba ku ta nga ku na ku lo ni je na ke kwa lo ne ka mama ba e nu no pang nyanga mo li hu e du Gabriel Emre Peter Jetro nwanga kre do ko nu da nga kwe ku kre ku to ku kre kwa to po Liberia nga ku kre ku ka to no jenga kwa nwe ku pala po ku Liberia to and no nyabo Liberia ka nihu nyawa elizana bi komi so no hene de pabe ngbo pressure de pa nyenga leke mbeleke de leka elizana bi komi la de leka and drali neke and popa toy no way Liberia ka nihu so thank you so much for having me on this platform for talking to my people.
Thank you, Beata. Always, you're appreciated, and thanks for the diversity that you bring here as well. And before I go pivot to Peter Emmerich, let's go ahead and just wrap it up from your end. We've talked about everything. We've made some salient points here today. What are those things that you want to probably close up on?
Thank you, Duke, and thanks to the listening audience. Simple. We have two things going on: old system, the bad system; new system, the good system. Who can you see as the new person to be able to spearhead, the leadership role in our country? We can't, from the corporate background, we can't keep bringing the people of the same old system, the corrupt system, to be able to head, the new Liberia. The Liberia that we all see that want to work on for everyone, want to have better hospitals, schools, and roads and everything for everyone, that everyone will be considered equal in a sense, because that's our constitution, right? Equal distribution of wealth. Who can do that? We have never ever voted a person who will take care of himself, outside the leadership or our resources, and live the life that he wants to live. We have not done that. We have seen this so many times. We have gone back, and I keep saying this. How do we pick a leader? I think it's something that we have now started to speak to our people. We've been speaking to our people directly, and that's all we need to educate our people, because we are not different from them. We are the same. Some of us, the experience we've had or we still continue to have in Liberia, it's not different from anyone. We've been there. We were there during the Ebola crisis, through or before the Ebola crisis. We were there 4, 5, 6, 7 times a year for 10 years before the Ebola crisis. You can see anything new to us. But what we need to do to collaborate and sit and see how we can discuss Liberia. There's nothing wrong with you being on the other side and you and myself sit and have a civil discussion. There's nothing wrong. The person who's going to prefer the best of views and so with the evidence to substantiate is the person who's going to win. That's how we should see it. That's how we all should see it, to be objective. To look at it and say, I don't support you because you're from our tribe. I don't support you because I think, because we talk about nepotism, right? If you go back to 1980, people died because of nepotism. The same nepotism, in another sense, can be analogized to tribalism in Liberia. We see that we talked about rampant corruption, but we see it has quadrupled in our country, where a man cannot justify his salary, but he's building more than 10,000 mansions all around the country. These are things that we have to stop. These are things that we have control over. These are things that with the right leadership, these things are going to stop. So, I thank you. Liberians will sit and talk to you directly. We'll come to your doorsteps and talk to you directly. This time around, it's a different ball game. It's not somewhere where you think people in the diaspora, they're against people in the country. That's not what it is. That's what they tell you, because that's what they want to tell you, to stay away from listening to us, because we have some of the real solutions. We say your solution not good. No, we say let's join together and put your solution and our solution together to find a way forward for Liberians. Thank you.
Thank you, Amrik. I appreciate that. Pete, I know you want to bring this thing home swinging, man. So let's go ahead and hear from you. Pete, I think you're muted. You got to check your audio.
Yeah. So first of all, Emmerich, a great job, team. I want to pivot to start by saying this, and I want to come close and say this. Like I said, I was not involved in politics until now, right? I was chasing a career, just like all of us have, just like Cummins did, trying to take care of family, build myself, hopefully put myself in position so one day I could help people, not just people back home, just people, period. Okay. And when I visit Liberia, I feel what Miata is talking about. I feel what Garrett is talking about. Those kids selling water or pack stuff on their head in traffic. And I'm like, that could have been me. That's where my passion comes from. That's me. Not only is it me, my family is still there. I go to the houses. I was just there a month ago. That kid on the street, very, very bright kids, right? Not going to school. Their mom selling fish. They're sitting right there. Beautiful kid. I'm like, that could be me. That could be my nieces. That could be my son. That could be my sister. And the question is, why is it like that? So I want to take a second to talk a little bit about and talk to our young, educated people. And I want to give a little history lesson about how truth has moved the world forward. Okay, I want to go back to ancient Greeks and the ancient Greeks that brought us everything we have now as far as reasoning. And I want to talk about Aristotle. And I want to go back and talk about Socrates. Socrates was a man in ancient Athens who believed that, and all my history and my young college people will appreciate this. He was a man who wanted to go away from dogma, teaching about the gods did this and gods did that. And he wanted to teach questioning. Socrates, but at the time, Athens at war. So Socrates is still teaching the young people, question everything around you. Things should be better. Why do you believe in Zeus? Why do you believe in Mars? Right? Why do you believe in these gods? How do you know they exist? And Socrates got killed because of democracy. The people said Socrates needs to go because he's polluting the minds of the young people. So the brightest
corrupting the
person in the
youth.
city got killed. Well, Socrates had a student, okay, and his name was Plato, and that broke Plato's heart. Like, how could you kill Socrates? He's teaching us reason, and Socrates is why we have the sciences that we have today. So what did Plato do? Plato opened schools, and he started teaching a million armies of questioners. Okay, and those people later on became what we call sophists. One of his students was this guy called Aristotle. Aristotle became the pupil, the teacher of the guy called Alexander the Great. So he passed on that knowledge of Alexander the Great to Alexander, and Alexander conquered. And everywhere he conquered, he brought the knowledge with him to a point where that vast empire had people who were questioning. As a matter of fact, Alexander the Great was so against uh, um, nationalism and against tribalism. He forces people to get married to people from other cultures. Okay, this brought us math, science, medicine, and it spread out to Rome. The Roman took over, and religion took back over. Dogma took back over. Fast forward to the 1400s. The thing you heard called Renaissance. The Renaissance was a rebirth. People had to go back to that. That when Socrates was still around, when the Romans, before the Romans took over and dogma took over, we need to go back to finding out truth. Right? This truth brought about what we call the scientific revolution and the Enlightenment. The Enlightenment is what brought about a country, the modern democracy of America. America, with this modern democracy and the scientific revolution, we start to have advancement in human culture. Lies has never taken the world anywhere. Look what's going on
You should be a philosopher, man.
look what's going on in our country right now. Lying on the man. Look what went out during the war. Lying on people. The man this. And how many people died because of lies? Lies has never the pursuit of truth. And this is what the show is about, too. I know I talk a lot of times, but I needed to say this. The pursuit of truth is what's going to liberate Liberia. Listen, we're going to talk to our young people. Things don't have to be like this. We're not government people. We're not politicians. That's why they don't like us. If things stays the way they are, things are always going to stay the same. Communists always talk about that. We keep doing the same things and expecting different results. For the first time, we have a man who has his own money. He's not coming in broke and then going to get rich afterwards. That's the first time we have that. That's the difference. Okay, he comes from business world. Yes, he was not part of the government. Yes, he was not part of the war. He was chasing his dreams, just like we want for every child in Liberia. Like we're gonna fight for every child in Liberia to have. For our doctors and our engineers and our lawyers who are walking around selling boni in the market right now. We're not some transplant. Okay, we're not some transplant. We're Liberians who just happen to live in a different culture and saw things differently. And we're here, and this conversation is going to continue. So thanks for having us, Duke.
Thank you, Pete. Listen, guys, I will want us to continue all day. And look, there's so much information, but I know we can't cover it. But trust me, we're coming back again. So Unapologetic is on. We will be here talking about the issues. And the next time you see us, we're going to be here again, same group of people talking about issues impacting Liberia and maybe giving us more time to educate, to inform our people. Let me say this. Bantu Stevie Biko said, one of the most potent weapons in the hands of the oppressor is the mind of the oppressed. We've just told you from the beginning that since April of 1980, 42 years later, the same thing's been happening in that country. We've seen economic issues, we've seen political issues, we've seen a certain group of people taking down another class because they felt they were being marginalized, and then taking control of state power for more than 42 years. Nothing changed. So, truthfully speaking, who do we blame? How can we continue to still push a certain narrative? Realistically speaking, if we want to save Liberia or we want to bring something different to our country, we got to think differently. A person that's been oppressed can only continue to be oppressed by an oppressor if you allow that. All you need to do is to inform yourself. Know the reason why you elect people into office. Know about those issues that bother you. Unemployment, jobs, right? Jobs are a big issue. Healthcare, medical, all of the things, the hardship you feel. We can only reverse that when we give people who understand the people first approach an opportunity to create results for our country. Again, my name is Duke. These are my friends and co-hosts, Gabriel, Emric, Peter, and Miata. We love having you on our show and following us in the comment section wherever you've been today, supporting us. We say we're appreciative. Please send your feedbacks. Please continue to follow us. We're on the mission, and that mission is to put Liberia first. Until next week, until next time, please join us again. It has been a pleasure. But I'll leave you with this before I go to our closing 10.
Then there is the problem with the soul of our nation. The absence, especially at the level of national leadership, of courage to do the right things for the right reasons, and of honor, integrity, honesty, and truthfulness. Today,